And welcome back to Who Would Win. Today's Who Would Win comes to us from You know what? I can't pronounce that last one, dude. He's actually a friend of mine. So I'm just going to go with Bueno V. Who asked the question, who would win a fight? Thanos win the Infinity Gauntlet versus Nico Bolas. Now, here we have two individuals who are godlike and basically were striving to achieve the powers of gods for different means. Thanos, A, he wanted to court death. B, he just wanted to bring balance to the universe. Different reasons he's acquired the powers. Bolas, however, was more or less a god at one point and lost his powers. So a lot of the story leading up to the War of the Spark storyline was him trying to reclaim his godlike power, which temporarily he started too. And then, if you've read the story, you know what happens. Thanos is still like godlike in terms of his physical abilities. He's got superhuman strength, hand speed, strength and durability that rivals the Hulk. He survived being dipped in the star, has enhanced regeneration, has knowledge and mystical abilities, has cosmic energy, super genius. More or less is ageless, though he can die. He's not truly immortal. And then you have several other things along in there. But then you factor in Infinity Gauntlet, which pretty much lets him do whatever he wants. Wipe out half the universe. Snap of the fingers. And by the way, we're going to use, because you didn't say MCU, we're going to use standard Thanos, so the Infinity Gauntlet has a lot less restrictions on it and is a lot less damaging. Although you can't corrupt, it doesn't fully, it doesn't hurt you just wearing it. He can snap out half the universe just by doing that. He can theoretically make himself a cosmic entity beyond even the Infinity Gauntlet if he really wanted to. The only individuals whose powers actually rival or are greater than the Gauntlet itself are Living Tribunal, the one above all. It's believed the Beyonders, are beyond the Infinity Gauntlet's capabilities. That's debatable. Other than that, though, there are very few individuals who are stronger or as strong as the Infinity Gauntlet. So, but that being said, all the Infinity Stones can control reality, can control time, control the soul and the living spirits, all the power in the universe, all this control space itself, control the mind. So, as long as he's actively using the abilities, he is essentially a deity, though theoretically he's still capable of dying. Nicol Bolas is an older dragon around 25,000 years old. That's a good question. How old is Thanos? Thanos is old. Really old. Thanos, how old is he? Let me actually type in how old is Thanos. There we go. How old is Thanos? Thanos ages, because Thanos is old. If we assume Titans age like humans, he must be over 65 because 2014 Gamora and wait, that's Infinity War Thanos. I'm not asking about Infinity War Thanos. I'm asking about normal Thanos. Let's see. Okay. How old is Thanos in Endgame? Is Thanos immortal? Nope. That's not. Nope. Not giving me a straight answer on that. Not in Infinity War. I'm just looking for how old Thanos is. Okay, how old is Thanos? Let's just go to a comic book. Okay, Thanos is born eternal. It means centuries, maybe thousands of years old. Okay, so right off the bat, I can tell you that because there's no clear-cut answer to his age, but it's believed he's at minimum centuries old, probably a couple thousand years old. Most people guess somewhere between 1500 to 2,000 years old, maybe even 4,000 years old. But that being said, even if you go on the high end, let's even say 5,000 years old, Nicol Bolas is 5 times older than him. And he's seen far more worlds. So right off the bat, he's got more experience, more ultimate overall knowledge, extremely patient. And the thing is, whereas Thanos does know a decent amount about mysticism, the whole concept of magic, the gathering, is magic, mana, absorbing these sort of things through, whatever means allow you to use these abilities. Bolas is more or less capable of just about anything, so long as he puts his mind to it and knows the proper spell. And Bolas has millennia's worth of knowledge to use. And I mean, some of the spells we know he can do, and some of the things we know he can do. He can breathe fire because he's a dragon. He can create shields. He can phase through things. He can basically manipulate time itself. He can, near the waning of his power at one point, he has subverted an entire plane of existence because it's a dimension essentially. Planes of magic are different worlds, different dimensions, technically different planets. He subverted an entire plane to his will and basically manipulated the gods of that plane to do his bidding. And that was with his power waning. Ultimately, I mean, I'm trying to think of everything else here, what he can do. I mean, he can use his dragon physiology. He's got enhanced physicality just because of that. He does know healing abilities as well. He is a highly proficient telepath. He's had conversations with other people while having mental conversations with other people as well. Jace, a very powerful telepath, tried to invade his mind one time, described it as like a perfect sphere with no cracks whatsoever. And then Bolas basically said, "Oh, you wanted inside my mind? All he had to do was ask." And nearly brain, like mind, as they say, call it mind death. You're like basically just a vegetable, more or less. And he nearly did that to Jace. He's extremely ruthless, but is also kind of like a cat with a mouse, loves to play with his food, essentially. So he is extremely dangerous. Now, I will say this. If this were Thanos without the Infinity Gauntlet versus Nico Bolas, we'd still have a tough match here. Because I will say this. Thanos is probably physically tougher than Nico Bolas is, despite the fact that Nico Bolas is far larger. Because let's say this is Bolas, my forearm is Bolas. Thanos probably only comes up to here maybe on him. So, I mean, Thanos is a much larger dude than average. Like, your normal person probably only goes down to there. But no, Thanos is probably more like up to there. But he's still, Bolas is still like 3 times bigger than him at least, maybe 4. Thanos physically beats Bolas outright without Bolas like augmenting himself. So, in a physical altercation, they'd win, but Bolas has such a mastery of magic that he could probably counter a lot of what Thanos could throw at him. But with the Infinity Gauntlet, it's a different story because now you pretty much let's put these guys pretty much at their max capacity. And Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet, Bolas as a god. Now, as a god, and even as an Elder Dragon without his godlike power, he still was really hard. You couldn't truly kill him. He could come back as a spirit. But with the Soul Stone, that actually alleviates that fact. You could imprison Bolas in the Soul Stone and like suck up his power, which would be a lot. So the gem becoming the gem he keeps in his forehead too, Nicol Bolas, is a weak point of his. If you were to destroy that, you would disrupt his power. So these two met in a combat. How would it work? Well, Nicol Bolas would for the stones to be effective, Nicol Bolas would have to go to the Marvel Universe. And then, he's during, let's say this is during Infinity War, let's say, like the actual Infinity, or the Infinity Gauntlet saga. So, Thanos just wiped out half the universe. All the heroes are like falling against him. And then Nicol Bolas shows up. It's like, just after, let's say everything worked out and War Spark and he got his godlike power back. It's like, another world to conquer. Or another world to conquer. I sense great power that rivals even my own. I just gained back all my power. How can this be? And then he just, teleports there. He's Bolas. He could do that. He could probably teleport even without that. Because that's the thing. Planeswalking, hopping between the planes of existence, is essentially like a dimensional teleportation. So he's seeing what's going on. He's observing, and he sees the Infinity Gauntlet. He's sensing the power coming off. There's like those stones are what's rivaling my power. So, in theory, how this could actually go is he just takes the stones. He could probably do that. He just uses like telekinesis or something, power or whatnot, and just steals the gauntlet off Thanos' hand. But for the sake of an actual fight, he just appears all of a sudden, like hitting Thanos with a pretty powerful spell. Thanos is sent back reeling a bit. He's reeling, and then the ball said, "I see. So this is what this world has to offer in terms of power. I must say, I was not expecting this. I am quite impressed." To which, Thanos like, I do not know who you are, beast, but you will feel the wrath of Thanos! And then, they fire energy blasts at each other, but, he just freezes. Bolas, blocks with his own, freezes time, he is about to just take Thanos out. But Thanos, controlling time, just, you have to do better than that, lizard! Just grabs Bolas, hurls him, and then he basically uses like a petrification spell on Thanos, uses the same on Bolas. They both kind of just shrug it off. Like, your powers are great. You manipulate fabrics of the universe. So it's just like I do. But you are still nothing compared to Thanos. Nothing! And then, they go back out of toe-to-toe. Now, technically speaking, Thanos could just do what he did with Thor, turn him to glass. Or did what he did with like Galactus and remaining Celestials, turn them to stone. The problem is Bolas is capable. Bolas would still theoretically be conscious among these, and he has enough power to counteract a lot of these effects. Despite the fact that they are like god tier effects, if we're using Bolas as a god tier Bolas at his height, then he is strong enough to counter a lot of these effects. Now, in theory, Thanos could just erase him from existence. He could. But Thanos also was getting just supremely arrogant at that point. Also, Bolas has the abilities, honestly, to just kind of he has enough psychic and telepathic ability to mentally attack Thanos, and while not break Thanos or even like beat Thanos, put Thanos in a corner for a little bit. Just if he's just attacking him mentally, he could be Thanos would actually struggle for it, even with the Mind Stone. He would be struggling a little bit, but he would mainly, actually using the Mind Stone's full power, be able to push Bolas back and be able to go into Bolas' mind, where he immediately realizes that gem, that is your weak point. I shall destroy it, and I shall crush it. And say, true, you are greater than true. And then Nicol Bolas just being, you are greater than me. That is true, but not only when you have this. And then he just sees on his on his claws the gauntlet. Like, what? It's like, yeah. The true point of my attack wasn't to break your mind or even beat you. It was simply to have your attention focused elsewhere. And it basically just kind of breaks the gauntlet and just takes the stones. Now I have all the power. And at that point, he just completely ends Thanos. Now, here's the thing. You might be asking, oh, come on. Thanos couldn't, do that. Or he couldn't do that to Thanos. It's like, well, yeah, he could. I mean, with the gauntlet, he could do anything. But he can't just get the gauntlet from Thanos. Why not exactly? Because he has pretty much all the abilities that will allow him to just kind of rip the gauntlet off. Especially if, he's got Thanos distracted. Plus, he has another way of completely bitching out Thanos, too. He could easily just planeswalk with Thanos in tow. Now, Thanos is, I think, strong enough to survive, like, the Blind Eternities, which basically is the space in between spaces, like the void, if you will, between planes, which would normally rip normal individuals apart, but planeswalkers, because of their planeswalker spark, can survive it. Thanos, I do believe, is durable enough, because he survived a dip in a black hole. I think he survived a trip through the Blind Eternities. The problem is, the minute he goes out of the Marvel Universe, the stones don't work. The stones only work in their respective universe, and at that point, he's screwed. Because normal Thanos might be able to take out Nicol Bolas, but Nicol Bolas would have far more of an advantage, and Thanos would already be taxed from the fight at some point. Now, granted, he's still got stamina for days, weeks, but at that point, he's in Bolas' element, and Bolas can now just toy with him all he wants. And then the time manipulation shenanigans again work all of a sudden. He just freezes in place and just, turns him to stone or whatever. I'm going to have to go with Nicol Bolas in this fight. Now, you might be asking, what about Nicol Bolas versus, without the godhood, at his strongest versus Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet? Well, then, Thanos has a better shot, definitely, but I would actually argue it would still be Bolas, because he's still got a lot of power to him. Enough power to counteract a lot of the Infinity Gauntlet effects until Thanos, tries to do one of the, petrification or whatever effects. And he still has the ability to just take Thanos out of there. If he does glean any information from Thanos' mind about the stones, he'll know that they won't work inside that universe. So he'll just take him out of the universe then. That is the ultimate problem with, Doctor Strange couldn't do that in that fight, but to be fair, Doctor Strange it's a weird case of Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange, honestly, I'll say this, I don't think Doctor Strange is as powerful as Nicol Bolas at his height. Both these guys at their height, I don't think that Doctor Strange is quite as powerful as Nicol Bolas. But again, you're dealing with a guy who's an Elder Dragon who's got over 25,000 years of experience versus Thanos, who has maybe, at best, 5,000 years of experience. It's just a matter of age, experience, and power, and patience, and just, being able to think of strategies like that on the fly. Thanos is a great strategizer, definitely, and he can definitely think on the fly. But Bolas, I think, would be able to deduce the weakness of Thanos more quickly than Thanos would deduce the weakness of Bolas. So ultimately, I gotta go with Nico Bolas, but I'm gonna go 70-30 because with the Infinity Gauntlet, that puts him on very equal, if not greater, footing than Bolas. It's just Bolas has abilities that can actually help nullify the Infinity Gauntlet and therefore make it a Thanos versus Nico Bolas fight. And then if we're going Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet versus just standard Nico Bolas, then I'm going to go with more like a 55-45 in Nico Bolas' favor, but I'm still going to go that route. Until then, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. As always, if you want to review something, put in the comments below. Let us know. We'll do a review of it at some point. And ideas for who would win, Star Wars, superhero, magic, whatever, anything to do on the channel, put that in the comments below as well. I'll get to that at some point. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.